Well, our journey began, really in the 1980s when I met Wynne, and we became friends. And one of the things we liked to do was go out and go hiking or biking or something. And then the Seattle Pacific Northwest area was really where craft brewing was really getting started in the 80s. And so we'd go out for a local craft beer, and I was a home brewer. And so we both liked it and were interested in the industry, and so when we got married, we decided we wanted to be self-employed, and we chose this path. And why Fort Collins, since we were in Seattle? Because even in 1988, we thought the market in the Northwest was saturated with craft brewers, and there was about 8 of them. And now there's over 500 probably in those 2 states. So, but that's what we thought, and so we looked around the West, and Fort Collins, the Front Range appealed to us a lot because of the love of the outdoors and proud of where you live, and reminded us a lot of Seattle except for the weather. And so my sister Corky happened to live here, so she said, come to Fort Collins. And we wanted the university town, and so it met all the criteria, so here we are.
The community's had an enormous influence on how we've run our business. We were welcomed from the first day we opened our doors. And when we started, we didn't have a tap room like most breweries do now. We had no way to really interface with customers, individual customers, but they still came in through our front door into our production facility, wanted to see what was going on. And so we started selling our beer in little plastic bladders that would blow up if you took them up into the mountains. But having the community start connecting with us right away was enormous. And so once they started seeking us out, we were seeking our own connection with them, and that's a big part of how we've gotten involved in Fort Collins. So the culture we've built at Odell Brewing Company wasn't necessarily intentional, but from day one, given that the founders were all related, husband, wife, and sister, it made it a lot easier. We had a lot of shared values, and we just sort of carried those with us as we started to build the organization. And the big things that we hold true that have contributed to our culture over time is quality, which is what has created the base, our beer, that's made us successful, but also the concept of contribution and collaboration. So if you add those 3 things together, that's sort of the kernel of how we've grown. And from there, one of our biggest tenets is putting people first when we think of the decisions we make, whether it's people within our company, so things like making sure they're well taken care of and connected to each other and have a compelling mission to work toward, but also that connection with the community. So putting people first means we make sure that the people we interact with, both our vendors and the people in the communities that we operate in and the nonprofits we work with in our community, all are entwined in our culture to make it healthy and moving forward.
I think that we like to contribute to the community. I mean, about the first thing I think of is that the community has been so loyal to us and so accepting, and really in a number of different ways supporting the small brewing industry in Fort Collins. And so I think it's just natural that we have this kind of relationship where we both gain something from this collaboration.
We chose to support the museum because it would have such a wide-reaching impact not only on Fort Collins but the larger northern Colorado community. There's just so much that's captured here in terms of Fort Collins history and the natural area around us, and it just seemed like such a perfect fixture to have in town, so we were on board right from the start.
I like supporting the Museum of Discovery because both Wynne and I grew up in large cities, and we had all these museums of science and industry and natural history and all these things. And so to have something like that in your own hometown that focuses on your own area and your local community, I think really makes a difference for folks to be able to come here and be involved in the community and know where they came from.
The thing that's most delighted us about the museum so far, we love all the exhibits that are here and have really enjoyed checking them out as they change. The pterosaur exhibit was exceptional. I really didn't expect to see such an in-depth exhibit. It was just beautiful, so informative, and I can see how not only I would love it, but from little kids to on up would enjoy it. what we have found as we look at organizations over time is the ones that have the longest lasting impact on the community tend to be the ones we're more attracted to work with. So the museum's a perfect example. It's going to be here for a really long time and benefit generations of people. And we like the organizations that are just fully inserted in the community and plan to continue to grow with it.
You know, our culture here in Fort Collins is defined by who we all are and what we all think is important. And, you know, just along with the kind of the attention paid to music and bikes and beer, the Museum of Discovery is another kind of homegrown, locally, you know, not owned, but people think it's theirs because it's here and it's Fort Collins' own place. So I think that it's just another example of something local that people are proud of and shows something about their identity.